Hello world. We will explain everything concerning to the game of Superchess and how to play. Let's start with the rules of the game or manual. Superchess is played by two opponents on a super chessboard with 32 pieces that are divided into 16 white pieces and 16 black pieces, as shown in the figure. The two players alternate and place their pieces in an appropriate style, placing pieces as if preparing a composition employing capture methods including reserve space, as well as castling either by placement or in original form, all with the ultimate goal of checkmating the challenging king. As you can see, the game takes place on the chessboard and the pieces are organized outside the chessboard. Players place a piece in each move starting with the white pieces. The Superchess board is placed between two players. The square in the right corner of each opponent is white. The unique design of this type presents a more elongated board that allows to organize the pieces from the outside in such a way that the player can have the 64 squares of the chessboard to develop the game. The Superchess pieces. The pieces are the same as those used in the game of chess. A. Except when rocking. The king moves to any adjoining square that is not attacked by an opposing piece. B. Castling is a move by the king and any of the rooks, which is counted as one and executed as follows. The king is moved from his original square 2 squares to any of the rooks on the same line. Then that rook is placed in the immediate square adjacent to it. Castling is illegal if the king has already been moved out of his original square. E1 white, E8 black, with a rook that has already been placed or moved out of its original square. It is understood that original squares are those that form the initial position in the chess order, and is also what is known in Superchess as reserve space. We will see it later. Castling is not prevented if the original square of the king, or through which he must pass, is attacked by an opponent piece. That is, whenever he is in his initial position, the king can evade the check with the castling, even go through check. Castling is prevented at the moment if there is any piece between the king and the rooks with which it is going to be cast. C. The queen starts the game by placing herself in the original square, D1, white, and D8, black at the desired time. Once it has been placed, it can move any number of squares horizontally, vertically, or diagonally. D. The rook start the game by placing yourself on any square on the board. It moves to any cell on the same line or column where it is located. This also moves in the castling by placement or moving. E. The knight starts the game by placing himself on any square on the Superchess board. The knight's move is composed of 2 different steps. First, it passes 2 squares, like the rook, and then a square perpendicular to that. The knight moves in L. F. The bishop starts the game by placing himself on any square on the board. Any number of squares is moved in diagonal direction where he is. If it is in white diagonal, white square. If it is in black diagonal, black square. But if a bishop is captured and another is left to be placed, then it can be placed in a square of any color, at the player's choice. G. The pawns start the game by placing themselves on any vacant square on the second, third, or fourth line, except when he makes a capture. He advances 1 square along the column, or 2 if he has been placed on the second line. A pawn that attacks a square crossed by a pawn of the opponent who has advanced 2 squares in a move can capture this as if the last one had been moved 1 square. This capture is called impassive. when a pawn reaches the last line. It must be exchanged for a queen, a rook, a bishop, or a knight of the same color according to the player's choice. This change is called promotion, and the effect is immediate. The initial position of the pieces on the board is as follows. The king starts the game by placing in the original square. E1, white. E8, black. This is the first move of the game as seen in the image. This position of the king is not noted because it is invariable, therefore it is not necessary. The player who has the white pieces starts the game. A player's turn to play when his opponent's move has been completed. The placement is the action of putting into play a piece on the board and is represented by 0. See an example game that has been prepared with the aim of putting into practice the theoretical knowledge learned as well as becoming familiar with the game of Superchess.